Lesson 33, VLOOKUP. Well, VLOOKUP. Out of all the 400 functions in Excel, this one, in my opinion, is the most useful. I used to be a manager who would hire financial analysts. I had one requirement. They could do a VLOOKUP in their sleep. In this lesson, we'll take a look at using VLOOKUP, how to avoid NA errors in VLOOKUP, something special called a range lookup when you're not looking for an exact value, and take a look at how to use index and match instead of VLOOKUP. Okay, so over here on the left-hand side, columns A, B, and C, I have a data set. This data set came from my IT department. It's exactly what I asked for, but not really what I needed. I asked for sales by item and date, and they gave me quantity, they gave me invoice date, they gave me item number, but I don't know what those item numbers mean. I need to get description. And you know, if your IT department's like my IT department, you can't go back to them and ask for the same thing with one additional column. It'll take weeks before they ever get to you because they realized you asked for the wrong thing. So I always try and solve this myself. I found this nice little table over here. This table maps SKU to description. I just need to marry these two tables up, and VLOOKUP is the function that lets us do that. VLOOKUP is going to say, hey, let's go find BG33-8, that cell right there, and we'll highlight it. We'll go find that cell and look through the leftmost column of this table. There it is. When we find it, give me some value from that row. In this case, I want the second value from that row, so I'm going to ask for column 2. All right, so let's build it. Equal VLOOKUP. First thing they want is, what are we looking up? We're looking up BG33-8, comma. Then the table array. Now, it's really important that the leftmost column of the table array is the key field that you're looking up. So if we're looking up item numbers, that has to be the leftmost column. I'm going to press F4 here to lock that down. I don't want that table moving as I copy this formula down. All right, and then which column do I want? I want the second column. This is different than Lotus. Excel calls this column 1 and then calls this column 2. So we want the second column. All right, and then for all my VLOOKUP fans out there, what do we have to put at the end of every single VLOOKUP? Say it together with me. Comma, false. Never had to do that in Lotus. If you don't put false, you get close matches. This is accounting. Close matches never are good. All right, so we get our answer. Double click to shoot that down, and we have our VLOOKUP. Very quick way to go through and do matching those two tables. Okay, now let's talk about some really common problems. Here I have the same data, same VLOOKUP formula, but I'm getting NA errors everywhere. It's common to get a couple of NA errors, 1 or 2. That means that the item wasn't in the table, but when nothing is working. All right, so here's the game I play. I say, all right, BG33-8, that's what I'm looking for. Let's highlight that, and let's see if we can find it. So BG, right there, there it is. It's in both places. All right, now I'm going to press the F2 key over there on the column K. Look at the flashing insertion point in column K. It is right after the 8. And then come back up here and look at the flashing insertion point in column A. It is not anywhere near the 8. There's some trailing spaces over there in column A. That tells you that this data probably came from an old COBOL data system. In the days of COBOL, they would say, hey, this field gets 8 characters, and if you didn't fill up all 8 characters, they would fill it up with spaces. And those spaces, unfortunately, cause the VLOOKUP to not work. All right, so instead of looking up A2, there's a great solution here. There's a function called trim. The trim function takes leading and trailing spaces off, and it allows our lookups to work. Cool, very good. All right, now see, that's common, the single NA. That means that this item, BG33-9, not in the table. All right, you know, it's just a brand new item or whatever, so we'll just insert a couple of cells, insert cells, shift cells down, type that new item, BG33-9, and whatever the new description is. All right, always watch for those NAs. In fact, here, let's undo that, undo. Once you've done the VLOOKUP, it helps to sort the data, do a sort descending, and the NAs will come flying to the top. All right, so we solved that problem with trim. Here's the other problem I see a lot. We might have item numbers that are numeric. Oh, these are bad. So over here I have a numeric item number, but over here, whatever field this came from, they sent the item numbers down as text, and that causes the NA to not work. All right, so what we can do there is, instead of looking up A5, look up the value of A5. That will, if it is numeric, convert to a number, and our VLOOKUPs will work. However, that's going to cause problems everywhere else, so you're going to have to sort first, get all the NAs to the top, and then use the value. All right, next. Once we do a single VLOOKUP, it's very common that we have to do many lookups. So here I need to fill in the data for Q2, Q3, Q4. When I built this formula, I was very careful to make sure to put a single $ before the A. That way I am always reaching back to column A to get my lookup value. The table has $ throughout, 1, 2, 3, 4 $. I want comma 2, comma false. That comma 2, that's problematic because there's nothing I can do other than just change to be a 3. And then copy again and change it to be a 4 and then a 5. In fact, that one drives me so crazy. What I usually do is come up here and put 2, 3, 4, 5. In other words, those are the columns I want. And then instead of typing a 2 there, I point to that 2 and we'll press F4 2 times to lock the row down, comma false. All right, now we can copy this across and it automatically changes to 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're not a fan of putting these numbers up here, the 2, 3, 4, 5, I have a cool trick for you. Instead of pointing to that cell, just ask for the column of, I want a 2 here, so I'm going to use B. B1, the column of B1. That tells us what column number cell B1 is in, which of course is a 2. It's the world's geekiest way to type the number 2. The advantage there is as I copy across, it then asks for the column of C1, which is a 3, and then the column of D1, which is a 4. So another way to solve that problem where we have many VLOOKUPs to do. All right, I said earlier that at the end of every VLOOKUP we always put a comma false. What's the comma true version for? Let me show you an example of what it's for. Let's say that we have some test scores here and we have a grading scale. 92 to 100 is an A, 85 to 91 is a B. Well, I have to take this grading scale and turn it upside down and basically say, hey, if you get a 0, you got an F. But if you get a 65, then you get a D, all the way on up to 70 when you get a C, all the way up to 85 where you get a B, all the way up to 92 where you get an A. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to say equal VLOOKUP. Go look for that 70 in our lookup table here. Press F4. I want the second value, but then at the end we're going to put comma true. All right, so the first one works out perfectly because 70 is in the table. But what if the kid had gotten a 71? No problem, because the comma true version looks for the value just lower than what we're looking up. So we're looking up 71, they're going to find a 70. If the person had gotten an 88, the value just lower is 85, and we get the B. So that's what the true version of VLOOKUP is for. All right, next one. Someone built this table wrong. They put SKU in column L, they put description in column M, so that allows us to use a VLOOKUP here. But the price, for whatever reason, is to the left. Oh, that's really bad. Well, of course, the easy solution is to take column K, copy it over to column N, and use a VLOOKUP. But what I want to show you is introduce something here called index and match. Now, on their own, both of these functions are completely useless, but put them together, and they become incredibly powerful. Match. If you know VLOOKUP, you understand match. Go look up this value in this column over here. It has to be a single column or a single row. We'll press F4 and then comma false or comma 0 at the end of either one, just like VLOOKUP. All right, and what that does is it says, hey, your answer is in row 6.
Looking to advance your career by acquiring new skills? Tired of expensive off-site training programs? Wish you could learn from the best instructors in the industry? Look no further than live lessons. Self-paced, personal video instruction by the world's leading technology publishers. Each live lesson comes with a DVD featuring 3 to 4 hours of instructor-led classroom training, sample program code that allows you to work along with your personal instructor, and an example-rich study guide. Live lessons allow you to watch the entire course from start to finish or navigate directly to any of the individual lessons. You'll literally watch over the shoulder of your instructor as he shows you how to build state-of-the-art applications. Live lessons, the power of the world's leading technology experts at your fingertips. To learn more, visit mylivelessons.com today.